Okay, let's go over this question. So this is a question for perfect competition, and the key thing here is to find the size of the market, namely how many firms are there in the market. So the question first introduced to us, the market quantity 1,000 minus 10p and market supply 640 plus 2p. So question one is to ask us to calculate the market equilibrium price and quantity. So this was what was taught in module one. So we need to find the intersection point between these two lines. So just basically solving this system equations for two unknowns, P and Q. And then it is given the cost function, and it is asked to solve marginal cost, which is the derivative. Okay. And the third one, calculate the optimal output for each firm. So this is a narrative that you should be familiar with. So optimal output. So what is the optimal condition for each, what is the optimal situation for each firm? They're making their best money. They're making their best profit, right? So optimal here means profit maximizing. And then profit maximizing condition is marginal revenue equals to marginal cost, right? And then how many firms are there in the local market? And determine if there's a short run or long run scenario. Okay, so let's look at them one by one now that I've introduced to you those conditions, and let me write down the condition on my pad. So first is QD equals to 1,000 minus 10p, and QS equals to 640 plus 2p, and C as a function of Q equals to 3 by Q squared. Okay. So question A is to ask us to figure out the capital P and the capital Q star. So we have the demand, which is downward sloping. The slope is minus 10. We have a supply, upward sloping. The slope is positive 2. And here we are to find the market equilibrium quantity and price. Note here, for the market, I used capital Q. Okay. For individual firm, I use the lowercase q to distinguish. So here first, we have to solve the system of equations. And this is pretty straightforward. So quantity D equal to quantity S. The market clears, right? And that is when the market equilibrium stands. So it's 1,000 minus 10p equals to 640 plus 2p. And then we move things around. 1,000 minus 640, 640 move to the left, change the sign, and 2p and minus 10p move to the right-hand side, change the sign. Okay, so that is 360 equals to 12p. So p star equals to 30. And then we just plug this p equals 30 into any of those. They should give you the same result. So q star, I'll take the first one, 1,000 minus 10 by 30, which is 700. So that is the quantity for the entire market. So that's A. Question B, we are to prove that marginal cost equals to 6Q. So marginal cost is the derivative of cost with respect to Q, right? So here, since we are only given this expression of total cost, it is Marginal cost can be written into delta C over delta Q if you are told delta C told delta Q, but here we don't have that information. Instead, we have this mathematical expression. Therefore, we should use the math way, which is to derive its derivative. So MC equals 3Q, and here is derivative with respect to Q. So we keep 3 here. We keep the multiplication sign. It's a constant multiplication rule, right? We keep the constant, we keep the multiplication sign, and then we apply the derivative to Q square, which is 2Q. So the result is 6Q. Okay. And then question C, calculate the optimal output for each firm. Okay. So which is to say, calculate the profit maximizing output for each firm, which is Q star. And that is found by marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. And here it is told that the carpet cleaning business is perfectly competitive. For perfect competition, marginal revenue equals to P. So this equation reduces to P equals to MC because of perfect competition. Okay. So that's what's going on. Okay. And in the graph, that is actually here we have a market, and there is a market equilibrium price, right? And then for each individual firm, we have its marginal cost, and they take this price as it is because for perfect competitive firm, for firms in perfect competition, they are price takers, right? And then price intersecting with marginal cost, which is marginal revenue equals to marginal cost, that determines the profit maximizing quantity for each individual firm. So in this case, P is 30 and marginal cost is 6Q. So the calculation is actually pretty simple. Q star equals to 5. The thing is, you should understand when to apply. What is the right situation for you to apply this profit maximizing condition? Okay, so that's C. And for D, how many firms are there in the local market? So recall that the genesis of perfect competition is homogeneity, homogeneous products. And here, each firm is homogeneous in the sense that their marginal cost is the same, right? Therefore, those firms are identical. And each firm produces 5 units. And then we look at the entire market. The aggregate availability of product is 700. Then the number of firms is to do this division. 700 over 5 is 140. Okay, so that's D. And last question, to determine whether it is a long run or short run scenario, what should we do? In this case, we should calculate the profit. Okay, so let's look at the profit. Profit is P by Q minus C of Q. So that is 30 by Q, 5 minus C as a function of Q, which is 3 by 5 squared. So that is 150 minus 75, which is 75. That is greater than 0. So in this case, the profit is greater than 0. That tells you it is a short run scenario. Because in the long run, there should be 0 economic profit, right? But in the short run is like a snapshot. It can be like a snapshot. It can be anything. It can be making a loss. It can be making a profit. It can be break even coincidentally. But in the long run, should stabilize at breaking even for each firm. Okay. So I hope this explains. Thank you very much.